Hi and welcome to lesson 6.4, and 6.4 is on mystery plots, and you're familiar now with stem and leaf plots. So this lesson kind of continues a little bit with that. It says, how do we use stem and leaf plots to interpret and understand data, which is similar to what we did yesterday in yesterday's lesson. But this time we're going to use some mystery plots to see if we can figure out from the data which set of data goes with the mystery plot, or let's say, for instance, a line graph or a bar graph, or for instance, we could do the checks or tallies, any of that, and we're going to see if we can match data with the correct graph. All right, so let's get going. So it says for the minimum, maximum, range, mode, and median for this, it says to find it, okay? So you don't need to have your journal with you. Use your math message, stem, and leaf plot to make landmarks. All I want you to do is find this information for me and bring it in on a sheet of paper. So please write down on a sheet of paper minimum, maximum, range, mode, and median. This should be quite easy for you, but one thing you might want to do before you begin, kind of like we did in those steps, is put the numbers in order from least to greatest. Now for the 4s, it's done for you, 4, 4, and 7. But in 5s, notice that it isn't in order from least to greatest, or in 6, so you might want to start with that first so that you don't pick the wrong minimum or the wrong maximum. Okay, so do that. Make sure you bring those 5 answers in with you. Let's keep going. Oh, one other thing I forgot. So I need to move this so you can actually see it here. Darn it. Move my pencil. How about? All right, we'll move it. Sorry, I'm trying to move my pencil out of the way so you can see. It says, how did you find the landmarks? Could anything have made this data easier to use? Okay, now I kind of gave you that information, or easier to interpret. One thing that I said to do is to make sure you put it in an order from least to greatest. So we're going to keep going with that idea. But think about the question though. Is there anything else we could have done differently? All right, let's keep going. It says identifying mystery line plots. There are 5 line plots on page 177. Each plot shows a different set of data about a 5th grade class. It says match each of the following 4 data set descriptions with one of the 5 plots. Then fill in the unit of each matched graph on page 177. So our numbers are the number of hours of TV each 5th grader watched last night, the ages of the younger brothers and sisters of 5th graders, the heights in inches of some 5th graders, the ages of some 5th graders' grandmothers. And then it says, explain how you selected the line plot for data set 4. Okay, not number 4 here, but data set 4. So for instance, it says, you will need your journal to complete this activity. And then the final question says, tell why you think the other line plots are not correct for data set 4. All right, so let's do this. Let's pull this over here. Now, here are your mystery line plots. And I have plot 1, and you can see the numbers are 52 to 66. I have plot 2, which is 0 to 6. Okay, I have plot 3. I'm going to try to move this a little bit here and move this a little bit so you can see what you're doing. Plot 3 is 50 to 82. Plot 4 is 26 to 54. And finally, plot 5 is 0 to 10. Now, if you do not or forgot your journal, don't worry about it. You can use this information to still do the page. But if you have your journal at home, that's great, and it'll make it easier, and you can just fill in the 2 pages. If you do have your journal at home, you may also do those mode, median questions, those 5 in your journal as well. Just makes it easier for you to not have to do it again. All right, so if it's easier for you, to just do that, that's fine. Set it over to the side. Whatever works best for you is fine with me. If you write it on paper, that's great too. We can always put it into your journal if that works for you as well. Okay, so just know you have the resources here if you want to use them. All right, and then finally, moving on, it says match each of the following data set descriptions with the appropriate line plot. And then fill in the unit for each plot. the number of days students were tardy in the first 2 weeks of school, the ages of students participating in organized sports at a community center, the number of books read by each of Miss Wong's 5th grade students in 1 month, and finally the number of minutes it takes each 5th grader to get, or student, to get ready for school. Sorry, I read that incorrectly. So here are your little plots or your units. It says plot C, plot D, so it kind of gives you some information with numbers. Kind of look at that. That will kind of help you. And again, information over here. So it says Miss Holleran has her students collect their spelling test scores for 9 weeks. She asks students if they want her to record the median or mean of their scores. For each set of scores below, which landmark should they choose? After finding the landmarks for each student, circle the better score. So we have Elazar's scores. What is the median score? Oh, excuse me. And what is the mean score? Remember, mean is average. Median, remember what you have to do in order from least to greatest before you can do that information. So again, if you have your journal at home, that's great. It's helpful. If you don't, you can write the information on a piece of paper too. So you have that option as well. Okay, so please make sure you choose which it is. I will remind you to bring home your journal, but if you don't have it, don't panic, because you can always write it on a piece of paper as well. Okay, so let's go back and review what you need to do. All right, so first of all, a little bit of review as to we're using stem and leaf plots to interpret data, and these are mystery plots. On this, I said, please make sure you write down these 5 answers. Now, if you brought your journal home, you can use your journal, but if you did not, then write them on a piece of paper. The next thing you needed to do was to match up the data with which one you think it went with. It says there are 5, so it's page 177. You're going to be using page 177 and 178 to help you. You have all the data sets here to match up. Which plot do you think goes with which set of data over here? So that number of hours you watched last night or no. Think about how many hours there are after school. That's another thing to think about. And then you're just going to put plot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Obviously, one of the plots you will not use. Hopefully you figured that out. So either write numbers 1 through 6 on a piece of paper, or you go ahead and do it on journal page 177. Okay? And then finally, again, this is the next page in your book, I think 179. Again, you're looking at data, and you're going to put down plot A is unit what? And again, you can use this. I'm sorry, that doesn't go with that. Which do you think? The number of days students were tardy in the first 2 weeks. So I would pick that, and I'd either put 1, 2, 3, or 4. Okay? And just put it by there. Which one do you think goes with that set of data? Okay? And then finally, so that's 1 through 4 again, or A, B, C, D. And then finally, you're going to do the median and mean for numbers 1 through 4, and then answer question 5. Again, if you have your book, that's awesome. If you don't have your book, write it on a piece of paper. All right, great job. I hope you were tuned in and listening, and I hope this was helpful for you. Again, more practice, and we'll go over what you think the answers should be. So, great job. Have a great evening.